Hello everyone and welcome to Motorcyclegear.com. Today we're discussing the 5 things that I don't like about the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE. Welcome back everyone. Today I am back out on the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE and it's time to talk about the 5 things that I don't like about this bike. Number 1 on my list of things that I don't like about this bike is going to be the quick shifter. Now first off, hats off to Suzuki for including the quick shifter and it being both up and down or two-way, but I don't particularly like it. Now let me give an asterisk here. This is a demo bike and it is barely broken in, and it could simply be that it needs a small adjustment, but to me it just doesn't feel as good as the quick shifter felt on the GSX 8R or on the GSX 8S. Now keep in mind the bikes are cousins and share quite a few components, and it definitely was nowhere near as good or as smooth as the one on the Suzuki Hayabusa that I tested before. So again, not saying that this is a really major issue and it possibly could just be this specific bike, but the quick shifter just doesn't feel as buttery smooth to me as I would want it to. In fact, it annoyed me enough that I just stopped using it and shifted the old-fashioned way. Now be sure to, again, take that with a grain of salt, as once again it could just be this specific bike, so don't let me sway you from checking one out for yourself. Take one for a test ride, and if you don't feel the way that I do, then we know that it was just this particular bike. But if you agree, then there might be more there to not like. Okay, so number 2 on the list of 5 things that I don't like about the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE is the gas gauge. Now, in the last video, I mentioned that the display was really simple and easy to read, and that is true. Well, everything but the gas gauge. When I first got the bike, all the bars were lit black, and the last bar was lit red, indicating to me that the gas gauge is color-coded. So my assumption is that if all the bars are lit black and the last bar is lit red, that it's telling me that the bike is empty and that it's on its last bar, and that it's reading to me basically screaming to go get gas. Well, it turns out the black bars actually meant the bike is full, and that the last bar is always red regardless of if you're full, half, quarter, or down to that last bar. Now here in my thought process, and if I'm just being nitpicky or if I'm just crazy, that's fine, but to me it would have made much more sense to have all the bars in black so you know if you're down to your last bar or not, right? If you have them all the same color, then you know if you're full or not full based off of how many bars are black or lit up or left. And when you get down to the last lit up bar, you need gas. Or if you're going to go the color code method, then in that case it would make sense to me to make the normal bars green and then the last bar red, and then depending on which ones are lit up, that is where you stand. And if no color is showing, then it just shows black, and it means that the part of that bar is empty. But I guess long story short, it was just very confusing to me where the color coding didn't make sense, and therefore I just thought I was empty when I first got the bike, and it turned out that I was full. And this is going to be the same thing depending on if you're in the black or the white, colorway, or the option, essentially light or dark mode. Again, that one bar being a different color is a little bit confusing regardless of your fuel level. So again, this might just be a personal thing, so don't take it too seriously, take it with a grain of salt, but with how great the rest of the dash is and how simple it is and easy to read, it's just a little bit annoying. I do think that this could be a super simple fix for Suzuki with a software update, so I don't know, personally I'd like to see it changed, but again, it is what it is. Alright, so number 3 on my list of the things that I don't like about the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE is going to be the windshield. Again, this might be one of those things that just bugs me, or maybe it is because I am clueless about the adventure bikes and riding adventure bikes since it is my first time on one, but to me, the windshield doesn't make sense. It is adjustable, which is great, but it seems that regardless of what position I have it in, it just does nothing to deflect wind. In fact, I would argue that it felt like it created more wind problems than it solved. Like having ridden, again, the cousin or the naked bike, the Suzuki GSX 8S, I didn't feel that I had as many wind issues or as much buffeting as I do on the V-STROM 800DE. Now granted, the V-STROM is taller, but still it just feels like the windshield was creating more problems and not doing much to help. Alright, so moving on to number 4 on the list of 5 things that I don't like about the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE, and number 4 is the clutch lever. I mentioned in a previous video that it's not adjustable, that only the brake lever is, so adjusting how close or far it is from your grip. This I don't like. I feel like on all bikes both levers should be adjustable. That way you can have them fit perfectly into your hands and to have them exactly where you expect them to be when you need to use them. Again, on the brake side of things, I adjusted the lever and boom, super comfortable where I needed it. On the clutch, it was a bit too far out for my liking and I just couldn't adjust it. Now, the argument could be, you know, hey, Suzuki had a price they were trying to stay within, and that makes sense. But multiple bikes that are in the $3,000 to $5,000 range that I have ridden have had adjustability on both levers. So can't imagine that budget was the problem. I can't imagine that it's that expensive to add that feature. So in fact, I would argue that even if you had to bump the price by 20, 30, 50 bucks, most customers wouldn't even notice or would happily pay that extra small amount just to get that, you know, adjustability. I really couldn't imagine it being more than $100 at most. So again, I would do that just to have the better levers and have an overall better experience. Last but not least, not sure if that saying applies here, but anyway, last on the list, or number 5 on the list of things that I don't like about the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE is the sound. Even though it does share the engine with the GSX 8S, it doesn't, to me, sound as good. In fact, it sounds very dirt bike-like to me. And I mean, I guess, you know, that is a take it or leave it type of thing, but I feel like the same engine just sounds better in the GSX 8S package. And well, I wasn't a huge fan of how that sounded either, but it was better than this. This could obviously be fixed easily in the aftermarket, but in stock form, that was just something that I noticed. So number 5 on my list, I don't really like the sound or the factory sound of the V-STROM 800DE. Alright, so guys and gals, that's going to be it for this video and for the Suzuki V-STROM 800DE. Be sure to visit Motorcyclegear.com. We would love to help you out with your motorcycle gear needs. You can also hit us up via phone or email, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on this video or the V-STROM 800DE, feel free to drop a comment down below. As always, thank you all for watching. Till next time.